People have to live in unity.
We are still in transition.
Civil society has been decimated.
Of course, we rely on media.
And I think the government has not done enough.
The international community has failed to respond.
No place in the world is perfect.
Hello viewers, I'm your host Shivangi Mishra with another episode of South Asia Focus. Let's begin the show. With every passing day, India's tech prowess is growing and it is glowing on the global stage. The smartphone revolution has swept across the world. India, with its vast population and a huge talent pool, has taken the world by storm. India's mobile manufacturing capacity has skyrocketed. From assembly to component manufacturing, India's mobile ecosystem is creating victories. Join us as we take you on a ride showing how Made in India is resonating far and wide as the country takes massive stride.
India is currently on her way to dominate the mobile manufacturing landscape.
मोबाइल मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में भारत दुनिया का दूसरा सबसे बड़ा देश बनकर के उभरा है.
India's infrastructure, favorable government policies, and large talented workforce have attracted giant global corporations. The biggest smartphone company, Apple, is turning to India to manufacture its products. South Korean company, Samsung, has opened its largest factory in the capital New Delhi's satellite city, Noida. Be it manufacturing, assembling, or outsourcing, India has emerged as the first destination for mobile phone companies. A fast-developing India has strengthened her grip on technology and has allowed 100% foreign direct investment in the mobile sector that has not just provided clarity around the definition of the term manufacturing, but has also given a transparent framework to investors. Apple already assembles its mobiles in India through 3 of its global suppliers, Foxconn and Pegatron in Tamil Nadu, and Wistron in Karnataka. Now, this electronics behemoth is turning to India and making iPhones here under the banner of Make in India. A big part of India's success in the telecom sector is her ability to innovate and deliver cost-effective products. Indian tech and electronics company, Lava, which is well known as a handset manufacturer, has now become the first Indian brand to launch a consumer 5G smartphone for the domestic market. With great infrastructure, a talented workforce, and the foresight to create phones for not only the domestic market, but also the overseas market, this Indian mobile manufacturer is all set to double down on its manufacturing operations. With the launch of their Agni 2 smartphone, Lava is now rolling out what it calls Made in India phones.
We are focusing on first on productivity improvement, that how we can be more productive compared to what they are in China, and then we are working on the localization of the components, how we can have more local components so that we can have less dependability from China and other countries, and in that process we can create more employment in India and we can be self-dependent.
From manufacturing to assembling to packaging, Indian mobile brands are performing remarkably well. The companies are able to produce efficient battery chargers along with meticulous phone designs. With strong support from the government, India surpassed $10 billion worth of smartphone exports in the fiscal year of 2022 to 2023.
Mobile industry, where we've grown from 2 manufacturers to probably nearly 200 manufacturers in the mobile ecosystem, is a living example of the success.
The government has come up with a well-designed scheme which offers incentives of 4 to 6% on incremental sales of mobiles manufactured in India to qualified companies for a period of 5 years. With Micromax, Lava, Intex, and Carbon scripting success with low-cost phones, the Indian smartphone market is entering a hyper-growth phase. with Indian engineers who are focused on future breakthroughs and on enhancing the manufacturing process through automation and robotics. Companies are able to trim down their costs whilst increasing their productivity. With agile policies and an anti-fragile mindset, India is propelling inclusive growth in the mobile sector and is steadily emerging as an ideal development model for the world.
Moving on, the alliance of Pakistan and China is not a coalition for development. Apparently, the shared goal of eliminating minorities from their respective territories is what brings them closer. Uyghurs in China's Xinjiang and Baloch, Sindhis, Pashtuns and several ethnicities in Pakistan are directly under the state attack for just being them. They are not just marginalized and are deprived of fundamental rights and facilities, but the governments have trampled upon even the bare minimum they have.
Human rights advocates, thinkers and diplomats convened in Geneva to express their alarm over Pakistan and China's systematic torture and discrimination against racial and religious minorities. Interfaith International, a Swiss non-governmental organization, organized the Symposium on Freedom of Religion, Human Rights and Politics. The participants also called for quick action from the international community and underlined the systematic persecution of racial and religious minorities in both nations through harsh laws and their military forces.
The Pashtun ethnic minority is systematically oppressed by Pakistan. In the last 20 years, under so-called war on terror, Pakistan has committed gross human rights violations, including enforced disappearances, extrajudicial killings, arbitrary detentions, and torture.
The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which connects Gwadar Port in Balochistan to Uyghur-populated Xinjiang, has been blamed by campaigners for killing and displacing indigenous people. Development projects can violate the rights of local communities and vulnerable populations since they are frequently motivated by commercial interests and political ambitions. Land grabbing, forced evictions and displacement have common manifestations of such violations in Pakistan. Communities are uprooted from their homes, livelihoods destroyed and cultural heritage lost, all in the name of progress. These violations not only infringe on basic human rights but also perpetuate social and economic inequalities.
As you know, today more than 3 million Uyghurs are suffering in the concentration camp and the religious persecution, and today is the Eid, and the first day of the Eid in entire Muslim world celebrated. But Uyghur, Kazakh and the other Turkish-speaking Muslim people have no right to celebrate Eid.
In other parts of the world, the governments prioritize the protection and empowerment of communities, ensuring their meaningful participation and consent to achieve sustainable and equitable progress. It is not so in Pakistan and China though. The oppressed people from Pakistan and China who have been facing persecution and state atrocities are raising their voices at international platforms, especially at the United Nations. The international community, they say, hasn't been cognizant though and seek its urgent attention and a proactive action.
Moving on, a staple that never goes out of style in India. Milk is more than just a drink. Consumed hot and cold and in all seasons, the country's favorite refreshment and a source of nourishment, milk is a dietary delight for Indians across the country. From individuals producing their own milk to mega dairy cooperative brands catering to the calcium cravings of hundreds of millions of Indians, the Indian milk industry has emerged as the biggest and the best in the world. What factors have propelled the exponential growth of India's milk industry and what promising prospects lie ahead? Join us as we transverse through the past, present and the future of India's milk industry.
Ankit Reddy defied the conventional path and returned to his hometown, Jind, in the northern state of Haryana, after completing his higher education from a renowned university in London. A torchbearer of the family legacy, sharing his entrepreneurial spirit with his father, Ankit assumed the role of second-generation custodian of Laksha Food, a private FMCG company.
I myself introduced some new distribution channels in our company. We earlier our distribution network used to be like we used to give to one central distributor per city. Now we have changed the distribution to retailers.
The young CEO has prioritized profitability and aims to create more job opportunities on the back of innovative methods used to enhance milk production in the country. There are many individuals like him who have revolutionized the operational landscape of the Indian milk industry, leading to its current status as the best in the world. Today, India's milk production surpasses that of the United States by 50% and is 3 times greater than that of China. India has emerged as the global leader in milk production. Formerly a milk-deficient country which would produce a little over 55 million tons of milk during a fiscal year in the 90s, India is now home to 23% of global milk production. Multiple factors including innovation, robust research, technological advancements, and government support have enabled India to optimize her milk production.
जो 200 लीटर से स्थापी गई जो हमारी सुमूल आज हर रोज़ का 22 लाख लीटर दूध आ रहा है, उनका लाभ जिस तरह सूरत और तापी ज़िले के खास करके जो ट्राइबल आदिवासी समाज के जो लोग हैं, 2.5 लाख महिलाएं हमारे साथ जुड़ी हुई है और उनका अच्छा प्रभाव होने के कारण अब हम महाराष्ट्र में कोल्हापुर तक, गोवा तक हम दूध वहाँ पे संपादन कर रहे हैं.
The government, cooperative societies, and milk processing units in the country are encouraging dairy farmers by providing easy loans, high milk-producing cow breeds, and other technical assistance.
जिला उद्योग से मेरा सब्सिडी वाला लोन लिया है 35% वाला सब्सिडी वाला, उसके साथ सुमूल डेयरी का मैंने वो दूध गंगा लोन भी लिया जो 0% से सुमूल डेयरी से मिला है, उससे मेरे को बहुत अच्छा प्रॉफिट मिला है.
India, which produced 116 million tons of milk just a decade ago, has almost doubled her production capacity, producing 221.1 million tons of milk in 2021 to 2022.
विश्व में सबसे ज्यादा कृषि क्षेत्र में अगर डेयरी क्षेत्र का योगदान कहीं पर भी है जीडीपी का तो भारत में है और वो 10 लाख करोड़ रुपए से ज्यादा योगदान हमारे डेयरी क्षेत्र का है. इस प्रकार से डेयरी हमारे अर्थव्यवस्था का एक मजबूत हिस्सा बनी है.
Surat-based Shakuntala Ben, a small dairy farmer, is a living example to the empowerment of women in India's dairy industry. Shakuntala, who has 6 cattle, has successfully established her business and is contributing to the larger picture of India's milk industry. Shakuntala and millions of others like her have been instrumental to India's dairy sector, who sell the milk they obtain from their animals. It has complemented their earnings from agricultural produce, which typically arrives just once during the annual harvesting cycle.
मेरा पति गुजर गया और मेरे पास कोई और ये रास्ता नहीं था कोई काम करने के लिए, तो मैंने सुमूल डेयरी से एक गाय लिया और वो गाय 1 से 4 हो गई और इससे मेरा गुजारा अच्छे से चल रहा है.
India, a country which produced 210 million tons of milk in 2020 to 2021, has now set her eyes on surpassing her own record by implementing the National Action Plan for Dairy Development. The plan aims to achieve a milk production target of 300 million tons by 2023 to 2024. It also aims to enhance the per capita milk availability from 440 grams per day in 2022 to 592 grams per day by 2023 to 2024. The action plan is the result of great government efforts, coupled with high ambitions of the individuals and industry players that have kept the Indian milk industry thriving. The milk consumption levels of the country have witnessed a substantial rise from 214 grams per day in 2000 to almost double to 427 grams per day. The harmonious cooperation and healthy competition between various stakeholders, along with effective policy formation at the center, has resulted in India achieving the current standing of the best in the global dairy market.
Time now for Asia This Week, the stories from across the continent.
South Korean residents are stocking up on sea salt and other items as worries grow about their safety, with Japan due to dump more than 1 million metric tons of treated radioactive water from a wrecked nuclear power plant into the sea. Japan has given repeated assurances that the water is safe, saying it has been filtered to remove most isotopes, though it does contain traces of tritium, an isotope of hydrogen, hard to separate from water. The fishermen and shoppers in Japan and across the region are afraid. The rush to stock up contributed to a nearly 27% rise in the price of salt in South Korea in June from 2 months ago. The officials say the weather and lower production were also to blame. The government is releasing about 50 metric tons of salt a day at a 20% discount from market prices until July 11. South Korea has banned seafood from the waters near Fukushima on Japan's east coast. China has also criticized Japan's plan to release the water, accusing it of a lack of transparency and saying it poses a threat to the marine environment and the health of people around the world. Japan says it has provided detailed and science-backed explanations of its plan to neighbors. Israel approved the construction of around 5,700 additional housing units for Jewish settlers in West Bank last week, despite US pressure to halt settlement expansion that Washington sees as an obstacle to peace with Palestinians. The plans for approval of the housing units in various areas of the West Bank were approved by Israel's Supreme Planning Council. Final approvals were given to 818 units including, while the others were in various stages of approval. Jewish settler leadership praised the decision. Most countries deemed the settlements built on land captured by Israel in the 1967 Middle East War as illegal. Their presence is one of the fundamental issues in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Palestinians seek to establish an independent state in the West Bank and Gaza Strip with East Jerusalem as their capital. Israeli settlers cite Jewish historic connections to the land. Peace talks that had been brokered by the United States have been frozen since 2014. OPEC expects global energy demand to rise to 110 million barrels per day by 2045, its Secretary General Haitham Al-Ghais said last week during an energy conference in Malaysia's capital Kuala Lumpur. This number is 23% higher than current levels, and he added that in spite of other energy sources such as gas and hydrogen expanding, oil will remain an integral part of the mix. Global energy demand rose 1% last year, and record renewables growth did nothing to shift the dominance of fossil fuels, which still accounted for 82% of supply, the industry's statistical review of World Energy Report said last week. Last year was marked by turmoil in the energy markets after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which helped to boost gas and coal prices to record levels in Europe and Asia. The stubborn lead of oil, gas and coal products in covering most energy demand cemented itself in 2022, despite the largest ever increase in renewables capacity at a combined 266 gigawatts, with solar leading wind power growth. Thousands of paddlers descended on Hong Kong a few days ago to take part in the Financial Hub's International Dragon Boat competition, held for the first time in more than 4 years after they were halted due to anti-government protests and COVID-19. The two-day event, organized by Hong Kong's Tourism Board and the Hong Kong-China Dragon Boat Association, drew more than 4,000 paddlers from 160 teams, including from the Chinese mainland. While dragon boat racing originated in China's southern Lingnan region more than 1,000 years ago, the modern version began in Hong Kong, a special Chinese administrative region, around 40 years ago.
Moving on. Eidul Adha is a festival of sacrifice that holds a special place in the hearts of millions of Muslims around the world. The festival commemorates the story of Prophet Ibrahim and his willingness to sacrifice his son as an act of obedience to God. Hundreds of millions of Muslims celebrate Eidul Adha with great enthusiasm and spirit across South Asia. The festival is marked by the sacrifice of an animal, which is then shared with family, friends, and those in need. On the occasion of Eidul Adha, the beautiful Taj Mahal was immersed in an atmosphere of worship. Such was the energy of the celebration that these pictures might not have accurately captured the essence of the event. A large number of them also offered prayers in front of the 17th century monument. The view of the Taj Mahal during the Eidul Adha celebration was mesmerizing. The electrifying aura was a testament to cohesion among people.
दुआ ये की गई कि अल्लाह पाक सब सारे लोगों को पुरसुकून दे, नेकी दे और आतंकवाद से छुटकारा मिले कैसे भी। इसके लिए की गई, शांति के लिए, अमन के लिए की गई।
These are visuals of Delhi's Jama Masjid, where worshippers were seen performing the mandatory ritual of ablution before prayer. The courtyard of Jama Masjid in Delhi was a beautiful sight to see. The festival of Bakrid involves the sacrifice of an animal such as a goat, sheep or lamb. This act of charity and generosity is seen as an important part of the festival, and it is believed to bring blessings to those who participate.
Today's Eid is the celebration of sacrifices made by our past generation. This is a big learning for our generation and the future generations.
The story behind Bakrid is a powerful one. It tells of the Prophet Ibrahim's willingness to sacrifice his own son as an act of obedience to God's command. As Ibrahim prepared to carry out the sacrifice, God intervened and provided a lamb in place of his son. This event is seen as a testament to Ibrahim's faith and devotion and is commemorated each year through the festival of Bakrid. Eidul Adha is a time for Muslims to come together to reflect on their faith and to celebrate the blessings that they have received. It is a time of joy, generosity and compassion and is celebrated with great enthusiasm and spirit all over the world. Festivals in India also bring harmony when everybody collectively aims to foster an environment of brotherhood. With that, we come to the end of this week's episode. See you next week. Goodbye and take care.
People have to live in unity.
We are still in transition.
Civil society has been decimated.
Of course, we rely on media.
And I think the government has not done enough.
The international community has failed to respond.
No place in the world is perfect.